A. Interview 1. Interview defined it is the questioning of a person believed to possess information which are relevant to the investigation of a crime or on criminal activities. Number 2. The golden rule in interview. Never conduct or let anyone conduct an interview if the interviewer has not gone to the crime scene. The questioning should be in agreement with the facts and conditions at the crime scene. The questioning will lead wayward for the interviewer who had not seen personally the crime scene, and he will not be in position to distinguish half-truths, exaggerations, or falsehood from the answer of the person being interviewed. 3. Qualities of a good interviewer. A. Rapport. It is the relation between the interviewer and the interviewee which is conducive to a fruitful result. It is winning the confidence of a person being interviewed in order that he will tell all the information in his possession. The interviewer must be in respectable civilian attire because most often, and the majority of the people, the police uniform is a barrier in establishing good rapport. To many, the uniform is intimidating. Letter B. Forceful personality. The appearance of the interviewer and other qualities such as skills of communication, techniques, or the force of his language are the mainstays of the strength of his character. He must be understanding, sympathetic, and without showing official arrogance, vulgarity of expressions, and an air of superiority. Letter C. Knowledge of human behavior. This will help the interviewer to determine the personality and intelligence of his subject. He must go down up to the level of understanding his particular object. Letter D. Conversational tone of voice. His tone of voice must be conversational, not confrontational, as in interrogation. E. Common interest. His preliminary and probing questions should be aimed to establish common interest between him and the subject. F. Acting qualities. He must possess the qualities of an actor, salesman, and psychologist, and know how to use the power of persuasion. Letter G. Humility. He must be courteous, sympathetic, and humble, ready to ask apologies for the inconvenience of the interview. 4. Cognitive interview defined. It is a form of or technique in the conduct of interview upon willing and cooperative witnesses where they are given the full opportunity to narrate their accounts without intervention, interruption, and interference from the interviewer. After the subject has finished his narration, the investigator now subjects himself to the style of direct examination and cross-examination to clarify the unexplained portions to arrive at a vivid and complete picture of his testimony. In the case of subjects of low level of intelligence, and the use of leading questions greatly helps the investigator to obtain the full and desired information. Number 5. Reasons why witnesses refuse to talk and testify. A. Fear of reprisal. The fear of reprisal is always entertained by witnesses who lack the courage to face the suspect, his associates, or relatives. This is natural, especially those who have no means to protect themselves or no influential persons for them to rely on. This is prevalent among the generally underprivileged sectors of our society. The investigator must remove these fears from the mind of his witnesses, either by offering protection or the explanation that unless the suspect is not put behind bars, the fear will not disappear. The investigator's power of persuasion plays a vital role. Letter B. Great inconvenience. On the part of those of hands-to-mouth existence, there is this real inconvenience which will deprive them the time to earn for their living, especially during the ordeal of testifying during the trial. To those unemployed, the inconvenience is greater. Thus, the investigator must sincerely help them through his contacts with the business community. C. Hatred against the police. The hatred may be due to previous bad experience with rogue members of the police organization. The investigator must show the difference between him and the rogue policeman by honest and sincere entertainment of the complaint against the rogue cops. He must explain that these calawags represent only a small percentage of the whole organization and the police leadership is addressing the situation properly. A calling card of the investigator given to this kind of witness will greatly help the situation, promising immediate help if there is the recurrence of the bad experience. D. Bias of the witness. The witness may be an acquaintance, friend, helper, or benefactor of the suspect. All of these and other relationship of the witness to the suspect must be explored so that an intelligent approach is properly applied. E. Avoidance of publicity. There are witnesses who are shy and they shun publicity that will bring discomfort to their ordinary or obscure way of living. The investigator must hide these witnesses away from the reporters. F. Family restriction. Some famous and respected families preserve their reputations by instilling to their members the need of the approval of their elders on matters affecting their families. The investigator must talk to the elders for the approval for a member to testify. G. Bigotry. Religious or racial, tribal, or ethnic indifference. H. Cultish indoctrination. Some cults or religious denominations exercise religious or moral influence on decisions of witnesses to testify. It would be more apparent when the witness and the suspect belong to the same cult. The investigator must use the tenet of religion, which is truth, to the religious leaders to allow their members to tell the truth and give the required testimonial evidence. This is a prevailing in our society even to the point of career advancement. Number 6. Common technique applicable to foregoing reasons. Many of these witnesses want they will not be utilized as formal witnesses, but to remain anonymous. The investigator must initially agree that the testimonies be given the shroud of confidentiality after the full disclosure of the information. The investigator then persuades these witnesses to be utilized as formal witnesses, especially when there is the necessity of the testimonial evidence. The power of persuasion plays a key role. Number 7. The stages of handling the interview. A. Preparation. The investigator should renew the facts at the crime scene and information from other sources in order that he would be ready for the questioning. A background data of the subject should be available so that he could adapt himself to the kind of approach to be employed. Letter B. Approach. The investigator must carefully select his kind of approach, which may be a single kind, a combination of two, or the application of all techniques. Letter C. Warming up. This is done by preliminary or exploratory questions to clear the atmosphere, promote a conducive ground for cordiality, respect, and trust for each other. D. Cognitive interview. The subject now is asked to narrate his account with interruption, intervention, or interference. It is only after the completion of the uninterrupted narration that the investigator begins his direct and cross-examination. Number 8. Rules in questioning. A. One question at a time. Multiple, complex, and logistic questions should be avoided. One question at a time is desired. B. Avoid implied answers. The nod of the head or any other body language as a response to the questions should be avoided. The answer must be oral, clear, explicit, and responsive to the question. Simplicity of questions. A short, simple questions at a time is required. If the answer needs qualification, then it should be allowed. Avoid legalistic questions such as who is the murderer or who are the conspiracy with the suspect. D. Saving faces. Embarrassing questions on the subjects on matters exaggeration or honest errors about time, distance, and description can be avoided if the investigator will cooperate with the subject to save his face. The investigator should not fault or ridicule the subject on these matters. E. Yes or no answers. Do not ask questions which could be answered by yes or no. It will curtail the complete flow of information and will leave in inaccuracy. 9 types of witnesses according to their attitudes. A. Knowing nothing type. These are the reluctant types of witnesses. They are found among the uneducated and of low level of intelligence. The technique to be applied is to go down to their level of intelligence and or by interrogation. B. Disinterested type. This is the uncooperative and indifferent subject. To deal with them is to find out their field of interest so that they will talk. Their interference should be demolished to arouse their interest or be flattered. C. The drunken type. The style of questioning by the investigator should be adapted to the psychology of the subject. When the drunken subject has sobered, another interview will be conducted, confronting him about the disclosures while in the state of drunkenness. The written statement must be taken during his sobriety. D. Suspicious type. These types of witnesses are suspicious about the motive and actions of the investigator. The barrier of this suspicious may be removed by sincere explanations or psychological pressure. E. Talkative type. These are witnesses who are prone to exaggerate, adding irrelevant or new matters to their narrations. The skillful investigator could prune the unnecessary matters from the relevant ones. F. Honest witnesses. These are the truthful and cooperative witnesses where the investigator could rely upon with little or no problem in handling them. G. Deceitful witnesses. These are the liar type of witnesses. Let them lie and order them to repeat several times their narrations. They will enmesh in contradictions. If possible, the lies must be tape recorded for the confrontation about their contradiction. Pressure them for possible cases of perjury or obstruction of justice, and they will tell the truth. H. Timid witnesses. They are the shy witnesses. The approach must be friendly and reassuring confidentiality of their information. They should be hidden from the devouring press of interviews or photo sessions. Letter I. Boasting, egoistic, or egocentric witnesses. They will be good witnesses because of their ability of expressing their accounts of the commission of crime. The investigator must be patient in dealing with them in order not to brush their ego or self-pride. They are susceptible to add color or importance in the role as witnesses, probably underrating the accounts of others. J. Refusal to talk witnesses. These are the most difficult subjects to deal with. Find out the reasons of their silence by exploring deeper into their kind of personality. The cause may be trauma, shock, fear, hatred, and others. Remove these letters of silence and they will start talking. 10. Statement analysis. This is a new name in criminal investigation but got new in actual practice. What is new is the term. It began in the United States when the woman reported to the police the disappearance of her children while on board her packed car. The car also disappeared with the children. The police, for a considerable time, scoured the area, interviewed scores of witnesses who claimed to have seen nothing. A police expert carefully analyzed the videotape recording of the woman who went to the TV station to appeal for her children. The analysis led to a suspicion, and the woman was placed under exhaustive interrogation, where she confessed that she drove the car down the river because her live-in partner does not like her children from a former marriage. The car, together with the dead children, was subsequently retrieved from the floor of the river. This is not a new practice in our jurisdiction. Every complaint and testimonies of witness are subjected to crucible of truth. Thus, the investigator will be the ignorant and unmindful weapon of deception, framed up in criminatory machination against the innocent, utmost care from the exercise before concluding the culpability of the suspect. This is the rule in the art of criminal investigation and defection. Complaints and testimonies are reduced to writing. The narration of the witness must be based on the rules of cognitive interview. All these complaints and testimonies will be placed under oath before an officer authorized to administer oath. B. Informant. 1. Informant. An information is any person who furnishes the police an information relevant to a criminal case about the activities of criminal or syndicates. The informant may openly give the information or offer himself to be a witness. The other kind of this one who furnishes the policeman an information and opts to remain anonymous. 2. Confidential informant. He is a person who provides the policeman with confidential information concerning a past crime or a projected and planned crimes. He does not want to be identified as the source of the information. Under the law, these informants are protected and their identity could not be revealed by the police even under the order of the court. Number 3. The types of informants. A. Anonymous informant. He may be an anonymous phone caller, letter writer, or a text sender. Never tell the informant that the investigator already knows the information. The duty is to receive the information, not to reveal any other information to call about facts already known. B. Rival elimination informant. This kind mostly maintains being anonymous. His purpose is to eliminate the rival person or gang due to competition or other motives such as revenge. C. False informant usually reveals information of no consequence, value, or stuff connected with thin air. His purpose is to appear to be on the side of law and for throwing out the suspicion from himself or from his gang or associates. D. Frightened informant. He is prodded by fear or self-interest in giving information to the police. He may be one of the lesser gang member who runs to the police with his gang mates are about to be involved in dangerous situations, or when the gang belongs is not on the police trail. He is motivated by anxiety and self-preservation of his well-being and will furnish an information to protect himself. And as a means in sustaining his feeling of self-importance, this type is the weakest link in the compositions of criminal chain. C. Self-aggrandizing informant. This kind of informant moves around the centers of criminal group or syndicates and delights in surprising the police about bits of information. His information may be of value by way of authentication in intelligence operation. F. Mercenary informant. The informant has information for sale. He may have been victimized in a double cross or little share in the loot or given a dirty deal and seeks revenge as well as profit and disclosure. G. Double-crosser informant. He uses his seeming desire to divulge information as an excuse to talk to the police in order to get more than he gives. H. Woman informant. Woman informant. She may be the female associate of the criminals who was roughed up, marginalized in the deal, or being eased out from the group. I. Legitimate informant. Those who desire to give information springs from legitimate reasons. They may be business operators who abhor the presence of criminals in their trade, and parents who are afraid and that their siblings will be influenced by their friends who are suspected to be criminals. 4 motives of informants. A. Vanity. B. Civic-mindedness. C. Fear. D. Repentance. C. Informers. He is the person who provides information to the police on a regular basis. They are either paid regularly or in case-to-case basis or none at all. They are cultivated and established by the police on a more or less permanent character and as long as they are loyal and useful to the police organization. Number 2. The proverbial basis. They say it needs a thief to catch another thief. The history of the French police proved that this saying is true. The elite French surete tasked to investigate criminal cases hired an ex-convict as an informer. This ex-convict produced outstanding successes in the solution of cases seemingly difficult to be solved. The ex-convict later became the chief of the French surete, and the name was Vidocq. 3. Selection of informers. There is no hard and fixed rule in selection of informers. This is addressed to the sound discretion of the investigator. The informer may be to a fixed period of assignment or into a case-to-case basis. The informer must be indoctrinated that they are not immune from the arrest and prosecution if they commit crimes. They should not bring shame and dishonor to the police service. When they will commit crimes, they should be punished like the rest. All the sectors of the society must be covered and their compositions included, but not limited to taxi drivers, jeepney and bus drivers, vendors, conductors, waiters, dancers, ex-convicts, shady or underworld characters, hosts, bankers, security guards, businessmen, prostitutes, the elite in the society, and others. They should be planted as moles or stall pigeons, practically in all the corners of social orders. 4. Critical areas in the deployment of informers. A. Within the ranks of criminal and criminal syndicates. B. Associates and friends of criminals. C. Places of hangouts of criminals such as nightclubs, bars, hotels, billiard halls, and other places. D. Slums and residential places where criminals have their contacts. E. Detention centers such as local jails and the National Bureau of Prisons. In many instances, crime was solved by planting moles among detention prisoners in the holding centers of investigate units and in local jails, and also in National Bureau of Prisons through the agreement with prison authorities. F. Places where criminals dispose their loots. 5. Women informers. Most effective among informers because they could easily penetrate the ranks of criminals with less suspicions. Besides, they can mingle with the crowd easily and could obtain information more than their male counterparts, especially if their beauty attracts attention. They have easier access to woman associates of male criminals. However, care should be employed as they could easily double-cross the police once they fall in love with criminals. 6. Dual role of the informers. A. Identifying and tracing the whereabouts of the suspects. B. Gathering of information that will lead to the location and recovery of the evidence such as loot or other pieces of evidence relevant to criminal activities. D. Other sources: 1. Government records, police files, NBI files, Bureau of Immigration files, Comelec files, files from a local jails and the National Bureau of Prisons and other government agencies. 2. Private records from private officers and office and business and non-government organizations. 3. Intercepted messages from telephones, cell phones, radio, telecommunications, and other means of communications. 4. Records of the firearms and explosive unit concerning license holders of firearms and authorized processor of explosive. 5. Fire busting, tracing the change of possessions of a firearm from the manufacturer, distributor, seller, and to the last processor. This could be done through the files of the FBI and other U.S. police agencies. 6. Records of foreign and local manufacturers of vehicles concerning the engine and chassis numbers of suspected vehicles used in the commission of crimes or the subject of carnapping. 7. Store data on computers and cell phones. Only experts must be employed to retrieve this stored data. Rules on computer evidence. A. When the computer is off at the time of arrival, do not turn it on. B. When it is on, do not turn it off, nor touch its mouse or keyboard. C. The unplugging of computer, whether it is on or off, should be done by pulling out the cable directly from the back of the central processing unit. D. Each unplugged cable should be marked in the same marking corresponding to the socket from where the cables was unplugged. E. The computer should be carefully handled and packed for transport to the police station. F. Only computer forensic experts should search for any information or evidence contained in the hardware. G. The computer hardware should be duplicated by the expert and the original should be kept by the evidence custodian for future court presentation. Search and analysis must be undertaken using the image disk. Number 8. Record message from file with informant technology companies. Coordination with the information technology companies on relevant information is desirable. The value of this information on the files of these companies could not be underestimated.